Now, if we've made a few modifications, simple modifications to the program from task 1.1, we've added a new Boolean variable, person name is valid. There are two different ways, or multiple different ways, that you can perform Boolean type logic in expressions in C#. The style that you use should reflect the easiest thing to understand for another person to read. So in this case, the nomenclature, variable not equal to true, or not variable name. Personally, my view is that this second example here is a little bit easier for a novice or somebody who's not familiar with the language. It's more human-like to read. If while person age is valid, not equal to true, just feels a little bit more natural to me. Whoever else you're developing with, whatever style they use, if you're not the primary developer or you don't have standards in your organisation, you just go with whatever they use. But be wary that the code that's hard to understand because of nuances in language is not easy to maintain or write or read. It's far better to write something the long way round, with the caveat performance is important. It's important to write it, it's better to write it the long way round rather than to be very tricky and subtle and then hard to maintain. So in this case, I would do it probably, this second choice would be the way that I would choose. However, the first one is also equally valid. So in terms of validation, we have, we're going to read a string from the console. Now it is possible that you can try and read a string that is too long and causes an out of memory error or various other exceptions. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're not going to prevent every single possible negative outcome. We're just going to do some common ones, and then there's a technique to protect against an unknown or unpredicted problem that we'll look at later. So in this case, we're going to read a line in, and basically a name could be made up of any character that's valid on the screen. Exclamation, talking marks or hyphens or various other things for different names. So we're not going to just check for A through Z. We're just going to assume that a string that you enter in the keyboard is a valid name format. But in this case, we're going to say if a person's name has a length of less than 4 characters, so that is 3, 2, 1, or 0 characters, then the name is too short. If the person's name has 26 or more characters, then the name is too long. If it is not too short and it is not too long, then the name is valid. We set the person valid is true, this while loop exits, and we continue on. So in terms of actually seeing that in our program, if we were to compile and run our program, which you should see on the right hand side of your screen, person name. So if we say Bob is fewer than 4 characters, name is too short, Bob. Sally, on the other hand, has enough characters in her name. So in terms of how our program is going to work, should you fail to enter a name, it will just keep repeating until you ask for, or you supply a name that is valid. So of course this is not a particularly useful user interface. I mean, the user would like to know, the range from 4 to 25 and, useful debugging information, but the purpose of this is not to make a good looking user interface, it's to show a technique or an appropriate methodology for dealing with this particular common problem. Any space in which the user enters data is going to cause you problems if you do not validate and sanitize that data. This is a huge topic on when it comes to connected systems, networked and web-based systems. There's a lot of work that's being done around this kind of thing. You'll need to do some research, have a good look around, see what best practice is for your particular language, deal with it like that. But these fundamental techniques and the importance of this straight after accepting user input is the reason that we're looking at this straight away.